categories. We will start with the appetizers. If I call your name, please come forward. First place goes to Gary McMillan.
Hi, I'm Gary, and welcome back to the galley. Today we are going to be doing something I've had a lot of requests for, and it's taken me a little longer than I wanted to, but we are finally here to do the dish that won the blue ribbon in the appetizer category at the North Carolina Blueberry Festival. And it is Jamaican Jerk Shrimp with blueberry cocktail sauce. I really wanted to do something savory with the blueberries, and traditionally there's lots of blueberry sauce in pork or duck, and I just wanted to think outside the box and do something different and something blueberry. So the spice from the jerk I thought would go well with the sweetness from the blueberries, and as you can tell, it does. So if you're ready to do this, let's get started. So one of the first things that we want to do is make our blueberry cocktail sauce. So conceptually, I thought I am going to use blueberry instead of tomato in the ketchup. So I'm going to use my blueberries and treat them like I would tomatoes and make a ketchup. So it is a blueberry ketchup that we're making, and we're going to make it just like we would make ketchup. So I've got red wine vinegar and brown sugar. I have a 1/4 cup of each. I've got a couple sprigs of fresh thyme. And then I have shallots, garlic, and ginger. And this is all just rough cut because it is going to get strained out, and we're just looking for the flavors here. It's not going to be something that we keep. And in the recipe, I call for about a 2-inch hunk of ginger. And then I've just peeled that and cut it into chunks. So what we're going to do to start, I've got about a teaspoon of oil in here. You can do vegetable oil, you can do a light olive oil. Don't do a real heavy olive oil because it tends to overpower. And I just want to put this in here. And we're going to just cook this a couple minutes. We're just looking for those shallots to get translucent. Now, if you don't have a shallot, you can do an onion. Just do a couple tablespoons of roughly diced onion. So we're going to let this go for about a minute or two. So it's been a couple minutes, and you can see that the onions have softened up and become translucent. And we are going to add our vinegar, our brown sugar, one full cup of fresh blueberries, and a couple sprigs of thyme. And we're going to let this cook down on low. You just want it to simmer. We don't need it to really boil. And we're going to let this cook. And we're going to come, stir it often, and these blueberries will start breaking down once they get hot and smushing them up. So you want to let this cook about 30 minutes. So while our blueberry ketchup is cooking, we're going to get our shrimp prepared. And I have here a pound of shrimp. And these are 16-20, which means there are 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. I have peeled them and deveined them. And I want to peel them, but leave this last little cartilage there, because with shrimp cocktail you want that tail to hold on to. So just a quick, simple peel. And then we will devein. And these look really clean, but you just want to take a sharp knife, and not too deep, just go right down the outside, or the back side I should say, of your shrimp. And this one doesn't have a vein, so they actually look pretty clean. And it depends on the shrimp having a, you can see a little bit of one there, just a little bit. It depends on how soon before they caught that they ate. So if they just ate, there could be a bigger vein in here that needs to come out. And if it's been a little bit, then it'll be clean like this. Okay, so we've got our blueberry ketchup simmering away over here, and we have periodically given that a stir and a smash. So next we want to get our shrimp to marinating, and to do that we need to make our Jamaican jerk seasoning. Now, true Jamaican jerk is a lot of allspice and Scotch bonnet peppers. It's actually cooked a lot of places in Jamaica in half barrels, but the one thing that it has to have when you're in Jamaica is wood from the allspice tree, also known as the Jamaican pepper tree or the pimenta or pimento tree. And this wood really lends a lot of flavor to that jerk. And the jerk is traditionally a wet or a dry marinade of chicken or pork. So we are adapting those flavors from that Jamaican jerk. It's not a true jerk, but we are adapting those flavors from the jerk because I thought I wanted something that was pretty bold and spicy and had lots of different interesting flavors that was going to meld well with the sweetness of that blueberry. So for your spice mix, and I've got my spice grinder. If you don't have a spice grinder, you can use your mortar and pestle, or you can just do all of the spices. I like the spice grinder because I really want to grind all of these up. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, followed by a teaspoon of dried thyme, a teaspoon of allspice. And again, this allspice is what really stands it out and makes this a Jamaican jerk seasoning. And that's a lot of allspice, you might think, but for the jerk we need that. A teaspoon of parsley. Knock that over, Gary. And then we're going to drop down to a half a teaspoon, and we're going to do chili powder, cinnamon. I just poured all my nutmeg out there. And pepper. And I just used my black pepper here, ground it up till I had a half a teaspoon. And we're going to do 1 whole tablespoon of brown sugar. Now, I will tell you, let me pick this up here that I spilt. For the competition shrimp, I completely left out the cayenne pepper. I was a little afraid of it being just too spicy, and the judges just not wanting anything to do with that super, super spicy. So I've got so many flavors in here, so many flavor profiles from earthiness to sweet that I thought it would be safe to leave the cayenne pepper out. So if the cayenne is something that you think is going to make it just too hot for you, that catch you in the back of the throat, make your eyes water hot, then leave out the cayenne. I do have a quarter of a teaspoon. I'm going to put about half of that in there. So that spice level is going to come from you. So you want it super spicy or even more spicy? I don't really think you need it because you've got so many flavors in here. Then add more cayenne. If you don't want any spicy, leave the cayenne out. And then I'm going to do a great big pinch of my kosher salt. All right, so once your spices are ground, we are going to dump this into 6 ounces of pineapple juice. Now, I always keep these. I buy them in the 6-pack. When I get down to 1 or 2 of them, I replace them. These are great on the boat because they don't take up a lot of space. I don't have to open a giant thing of pineapple juice. If I just want a quick juice for marinade for pork tenderloin or something, then I have these little cans. Great for your house too, just because you can have this instant 6 ounces of marinade easily. But for those of you who is with us for fajitas, know that I froze some pineapple juice. So I have taken that pineapple juice out of my freezer. I'm adding it to my bowl. And I do want a little bit of oil here because we're going to do this on the grill and that'll help keep it from sticking. And I think about a teaspoon of oil. And I am doing vegetable oil, not olive oil here. And we are going to whisk this up with all of that marinade that we made. And give that a good whisk and a good stir. We're going to put our shrimp in here. Mix it up really well. We want all that shrimp to be covered with all this goodness. And then we're going to marinate it for 30 minutes, max 45. That acidity in that pineapple juice will start to cook your shrimp. So if you leave it marinating for longer than that, you could change the consistency of your shrimp because it is going to start to cook. So in our marinade, and I do for 30 minutes. My shrimp is cold. I just took it out of the refrigerator. Then I'm going to let it sit in this marinade for 30 minutes. And that'll help bring it up to room temperature and still be safe to sit outside for that duration of time. So in our marinade, and I use my hands for this because I want to make sure that this shrimp is completely coated and all of that flavor that we made. So 30 minutes. We're going to let this marinate, and I'll come maybe in 15 minutes, stir it up again, keep it mixed up. So we're going to set that aside, let that marinate for 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to pull our blueberry ketchup off and finish making our blueberry cocktail sauce. So we had our blueberry ketchup cooking for 30 minutes. And we've smushed and we've stirred, and now it's time to strain. So I've got my blueberry ketchup poured into a fine mesh strainer, set over a bowl, and I am just going to work this through this strainer. And this is the reason I have not used a cheesecloth in here, because I really want to push this through the strainer. And you can see that blueberry ketchup that we're getting in there. So just want to push and push and push until you feel like you have gotten all that you're going to get out of it. I'll run my spurtle here across the underneath because it really collects under there. And I want all of this goodness. And I was thinking about this blueberry ketchup and wondering about a dipping sauce, a blueberry ketchup dipping sauce for sweet potato fries. I think that might be interesting. So just by the addition of the thyme, the ginger, the shallots, the garlic, we have taken this into savory direction. I think we have pretty much got it all smushed out. And this blueberry ketchup, I want to let it come at least to room temperature. I want to let it cool down before I start adding the rest of my cocktail ingredients in there. So while this is cooling down, and my shrimp has been marinated for 30 minutes, we can grill the shrimp. So here we are out here at the grill, and you want your grill to be 350, 400 degrees, and we're right there in the middle, so it should be perfect. Now I do have my grill area clean and brushed. So on your clean grill, you want just a little bit of vegetable oil in a towel and really just go over your grates, and this will help to prevent your shrimp from sticking. So this goes fast, about 2 minutes of size, and this is going to depend on the size of your shrimp and just how big your shrimp is. And for these, I'm going to do about 2 minutes aside. I wish you could smell it. I wish you could smell all that allspice and cinnamon and cumin. Now if you have a little bit of a smaller shrimp, obviously cook them a little bit smaller. If you have a bigger shrimp, a little bit longer. And then I want to take this marinade and just go over the top. And by the time I get to the end here, it'll be time to go back and flip. That's just how fast it goes. Now, if you don't have a grill on your boat, then you can always do this, pan sear these in a non-stick or a cast iron skillet. Now by the time I've got to the end, I want to come back and start flipping. Looking pretty. You can see those beautiful grill marks that we have going on there. Now I have a little bit of my marinade. So I'm going to use it all up. I don't want any of it to go to waste. I want to get all of those flavors into my shrimp. feel is a good way to know about your shrimp. If it starts getting tough, if it's tough to touch and push in, it's going to be tough to eat. So don't let it get too tough. But if you feel your shrimp when it's raw, how squishy it is, then you'll know how it should be when it's done. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to give this just a few seconds. And then we're going to pull our shrimp off. And back into the galley we go to finish off our blueberry cocktail sauce. So when I pull this off, I don't really want to pile it up. I want them to have their own space on my plate because this will help them cool down. If I made a big pile, the ones underneath would continue to keep cooking and not cool down as fast. So have a plate where you can give them all their own space. So in we go. So my blueberry ketchup has cooled down. And now we're going to turn it into our blueberry cocktail sauce. Now, I love fresh celery in my cocktail sauce. If I don't have fresh celery, then I used dried celery flakes. But they are really woody and hard. So I always give them a whirl in the spice grinder. Alright, so we've got our blueberry ketchup. We've got 1 teaspoon of dried celery flakes that we have ground up. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of horseradish. Now this is preference. You can do less, you can do more. This is preference. I went with 2 tablespoons. And I prefer the horseradish that you find. It's either, sometimes it's by the cheeses, like the cream cheeses. Sometimes you find it in the dairy. But you want the ones that are cold, not on the shelf that are like cream style by the mayonnaises. You want just pure fresh ground horseradish. You don't want any other stuff in it, and you want it from the cold section of the grocery store. And then we're going to do some lemon juice. And this is a lot of juice coming out of this lemon, so I'm only going to do half. And I'm going to use my black here. Give it a couple turns. And I did a couple pinches. Of kosher. And into the refrigerator with this. We want to chill this down and chill our shrimp down. Because this is a cold appetizer. This is a shrimp cocktail. So into the refrigerator we go, and once they're cooled, then we can have a taste. So I hope you enjoyed me today making this beautiful dish. And I just have to have a taste. And it is all that you want it to be. Earthiness and a little bit of spice from the shrimp. Sweetness and that kick of horseradish from the cocktail sauce. So this will make a perfect appetizer for your next get-together or the next cocktail party that you go to. And if you can't trust me, well, trust the Blueberry Festival. Fantastic dish, easy to make. And for the whole written recipe, I'm putting the link below to the website over at Gary's Galley, and the written recipe will be there. And if you like this, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Until next time, safe cruising.